All right. Thanks, Zach, for
Yes, sir.
doing this. I've got some got an intro for you. Let's get comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So today, our guest today is international rugby star, a prominent figure in the beloved Tuolumne County. He provides the community with sound, a voice, artistic avenues, and an outlet for all people of all ages on Tuesday afternoons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited to get to know our guest today. I present to you Zac Calbert.
Thank you very much, Brennan.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, so I guess I'll just start off with the question I texted you.
Mm-hmm.
What's a belief or value that you think best represents who you are?
I feel many things about that. I feel that the label that's applied to me through birthright is that of a middle child. And I have found myself very much in a middle child situation and mindset throughout most of my life, which has led me down various avenues, but it ultimately has led me to just try to be a community builder more than anything.
That's okay. Yeah. I could totally see that. Like based on what I know about you, I could definitely see that. So you grew up middle child. You have an older
brother,
younger sister. And why do you think you like gravitated towards like that community building aspect as a middle child?
A lot of it was just out of frustration. Like I grew up with really like a lot of anti-establishment and punk kind of backgrounds. Kids just fucking shit up just to do it, and so at some point I had to work out of kind of this constant depression and angst that I had growing up, and the only way to do that was by putting that energy toward building something that you wanted. Instead of sitting there and tearing down and complaining about the things around you, just taking that time to do exactly what you want to do instead of not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I was gonna actually ask you eventually later on in the podcast about your community like focus, but why I don't know, like what sort of like when did you like realize that this about yourself, and like how do you think it like applies to like what you like do for this community?
I remember the day when I had to make this decision, and I was probably very hungover. I was doing a lot of drinking at the time for fun. With other people, not alone, just drinking. So I was hanging out, and all we did was complain and complain and complain and complain. And eventually you're just tired of hanging out with people who do nothing but complain. And this was probably around 2007. Mm-hmm. After high school, after college, moved back here, hung out with my same friends, and then felt like, oh, there needs to be some other way of doing this. So from that moment, it was just like, okay, well, let's not concentrate in this way, and let's do what we want. And a lot of that came out early on as putting on art shows and gathering other artists, because I'm a visual artist at my core. And so in this existing community where historical tourism is kind of like a key aspect of inviting people to this community, is like, oh, gold mining. It's like, who cares, dude? Like, who cares? That's so lame. And all the art was barns and landscapes of Yosemite and the red church in downtown. And it was just like, dude, this is not the street art that we're seeing through magazines like Juxtaposed magazines and these other, at the time, these underground art circles that were rising up through the internet and through magazines. You'd just be able to see these a lot more. They're a lot more apparent, and street apparel and stuff like that was really becoming huge. Shepherd Ferry and Obey and all that, those movements were art movements about counterculture. And so we just started working towards doing that here in this community. And and inviting anyone who would like to join and to participate and to add their voice to kind of just the organized chaos that we were helping bring, as opposed to the really nice button down stuff that was here and existing.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I want to like talk more about your artistic like influences. So like you say like you were like anti-establishment. I know you like rock and like the rock's like heavily associated with like the anti-establishment. So like what were some like influences artistically growing up that you resonated with, and like how it's like helped shape you and your craft?
Early on, influences were comic books and dinosaurs. And those are still a very big thing in my life, dinosaurs specifically, just because I think they're cool.
Really?
Yeah, and comic books were always just this really amazing. Cartoons and comic books had just this crazy artwork and this crazy fantasy world that was accessible to me. And the first ones that really kind of changed my thinking were when Image Comics came out and Todd McFarlane was drawing Spawn, and Spawn was this whole like satanic figure and had to deal with demons and all this stuff. And Marilyn Manson was really big for me at the time, and just kind of this whole like anti-Christ, anti-establishment, shock rock type stuff was really big. Rob Zombie and all that stuff. All the terrible new metal that came out in 2000s and 99 and all that stuff. That was all at my core. And then that would just kind of like hype you up and get you pissed off. And then at some point you realize it's like, well, okay, I got to move past those feelings and like work towards something else. Religion was a big deal for me. I was always confused by it. And so I acted out against it. And then it became money and wealth and commercialism, which I'm confused by, so I act out against it. All the while working on a career in graphic design where you're just helping people sell stuff.
Oh, yeah, wow.
And so then at some point, my midlife crisis is like finding myself at a point where you're just like tired of helping people sell stuff that I don't care about.
Right.
Through art.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, oh, man. This stuff I would just work towards what I wanted at all these times, and then eventually like you're there and you're just like, I don't know if I like doing any of this stuff anymore. And then music became a bigger outlet for me, and I kind of put away my visual art that I was doing. I was into a lot of street art stuff and stickers and posters and flyering campaigns and going to town and leaving your mark, you know. But then that becomes mean, you know, just screwing up other people's property and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't need to do that. And so you just try to become more legitimate and less of a vandal and you know, more into helping people again come together as opposed to just like walking around and fucking shit up.
Yeah. That's you know, that's really interesting. I want to ask you about something you said about like when you came back after college and you started to like distribute and like participate more in the art scene here and like try to like create your own like I don't know, style. What was that like in that time? Like how was it received amongst the community at the time?
It was received pretty well because they were excited to have a 20-year-old who wanted to be an artist. And I went through the arts councils and the scenarios that were available at that time. And I was doing a lot of digital art, and then I do a lot of printmaking. Back then I was doing a lot of block printing, so carving blocks and making prints off of them. And they were all just kind of cartoony, shocky stuff, skulls and things like that. And I was a screen printer, so I was making apparel and t-shirts, selling those. And so I was able to immediately maybe not be the cleanest polished artist in the group, but have a body of work, and I could change it immediately and make a new body of work whereas everyone else were trying to master a craft and taking months to shoot photographs or a year to put together a collection of paintings. And I was able to, being young and fairly jobless, just like crank out art immediately and show up and like, yeah, here's all this stuff, and go and help set up tents and help set up these events. And so they liked me.
And who are you working with at this time, or like who are you presenting this art to?
It was the local arts council. Today it's called Tuolumne County Arts. Back then it was called something else, and this was 20 years ago nearly, so it's changed a bunch. And it was just kind of the people there. Back then there was a gallery space for them, and they had more events in the community. Today they have less of those, but they are working towards it again. So yeah, lots of artists. Dennis Garcia was an artist around at the time, and BZ Smith was a big artist who helped me out a lot in the community. And I'm sure there's plenty more. Don Hukari is a printmaker. He lived down the street. He helped me out. He's a graphic designer as well. So I got a lot of help from a lot of people who were just interested to have new blood back in town, wanting to create, wanting to participate, wanting to help.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't necessarily the imagery that they were wanting to promote, it was still excitement, and that's, I think, the thing that everyone wants the most is just to have fresh excitement around.
Yeah. So, so you studied graphic design in college.
Yeah.
So like, were you always drawn to art, or like, did you like doodle, paint, or like, like in high school, like throughout your childhood, you always had like that avenue?
Yeah, I just was into that. I was a big TV and video game kid back in the 80s and 90s, and so when it came time to turn the TV off, it was just like, okay, draw these things that you're seeing, these creatures or these superheroes or whomever. Yeah. And so I did that. I was encouraged to always make art, but I was never encouraged to do art as a job. My parents told me, don't do it. That's not the right thing to do. They were teachers and came from a career mindset. And so I said, F that, I'm going to figure out how to be an artist and get paid. And so that was be a graphic designer. That was just the answer. So I was like, okay, that's what I'm doing. And I was pretty good at it. And the concept of visual communication and building images to convey thoughts was kind of the whole thing that I'd bring to the game. And people would say they'd want something, and I would say, well, you got to generate a list of what you are and the services you offer and all these things that make your company this. And then I'm going to funnel these into these concepts. And then we're going to look at these concepts and figure out which resonate with you. It was a lot of work, and no one really wanted to do it or pay for it. None of the business owners up here, some of them, not enough. And now with AI, it's less and less and less. Everyone's just like, oh yeah, I'll just type it into the computer and get my image and then move forward, because they don't really care. They just want a picture of a leaf blower or whatever it is their business does. So at this stage of my life, I'm working towards, I don't think doing it more marketing or marketing in a different way, but something else, some other community involvement, radio station, other avenues of art and expression that aren't centered around selling stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about that, like, process though, of like, you get back from college and you have like this angst and like desire to like create stuff, and you're like pitching these like projects to businesses and art councils, and
you don't really pitch them. You just do the work and then ask how can I show this work? Or the earliest version of our art group, we created an art group called The Greater Good. And we eventually just had our own gallery space. There was about 10 of us, it was like 5 couples. And we all pitched in $200 a month for rent. And then we just every month we'd throw a new art show. Or every other month or so. We'd invite the community, and it was open call to artists. Before that, we would go find vacant spaces in downtown Sonora. And we'd just say, hey, can we use this for a couple weeks until you sell it?
Oh, that's cool.
And they'd be like, yeah, sure, no problem. Because we were people around town, they knew who we were. So yeah, we'll clean it up. We'll clean all this stuff up, and we'll clean your windows, and we'll make sure your light bulbs all work, and we're gonna have an opening reception, and,
awesome.
and it'll be up for a couple weeks, and then we'll have a closing reception. And every time we did that, the place looked better, sold faster, and it kind of became a real easy thing to kind of keep up. And then we just got our own space where the tap room is today. That used to be our gallery in downtown, and just a little tiny, $500 a month type place. And did stuff until I had to go get a real job because I was just like draining my income at that time. And then I just moved full time into graphics and printing. I moved into print shops and started managing a print shop, and took that over.
Yeah. I was gonna ask about that process of just like because I know you work like for yourself, and I'm just like curious like how you started as a 20-year-old kid moving back home, and then like that journey of like just like wanting to work for yourself.
One of my first jobs when I came into town was my sister was a blacksmith at Old Town Columbia.
Oh, yeah.
Historic blacksmith, and you sit there and you put kids' names in a horseshoe. So immediately I just started working there to get some money. And then I was mainly sleeping on my friend's couch in Jamestown. And in Jamestown, there's a screen print t-shirt shop. So I walked in there one day and I said, hey man, here's some designs I have. Can you print some of these shirts for me? And he just immediately said, he's like, you made these? And he said, yeah. He's like, well, you want to just print them yourself then? I said, yeah. Totally. I totally know how to do that. I can screen print. And he said, really? And I said, yeah. I said, okay, well, how about you start designing stuff for me, and then I'll teach you kind of how to screen print the way I screen print, and then you could just start printing your own jobs. So on the side, I was screen printing, and I'd go do a 9 to 5, for 30 hours a week or something like that at this other place. And then I got hired on at a local swimwear company, UV Skins. And I was just their production manager and production designer and warehouse guy, and did any facets of graphic design they needed. And that worked until it didn't work. The whole time I'm always just a freelance designer. Like the whole time someone says they need something, you'd be like, yeah, I can do that. Pay me $100. And so eventually then I started working for a print shop. The print shop owner didn't really show up. So I just kind of was the print shop and managed all those clients. And then at some point she said, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to sell it to you. I said, okay. So then I was just my company. I just kept operating. And then COVID hit and they said, okay, you have to buy the building. I said, I'm not going to do that because the government just told me to shut down. So I left that building. They sold that building. And then, so since then, I've just kind of been moving from smaller office to smaller office. Now I work out of my house because I used to have more production equipment, and now I don't really do production design, or at least I don't produce the paper stuff I used to print. Now I just kind of design it, send it out to the other print shops in town. I install decals on vehicles and business windows, put up signs. Just kind of, I do commercials and marketing for the transit system here. You just kind of take all the clients you can, and you just are working all the time, which made me really, once you start working for yourself, it's really hard to consider going back to a 9 to 5 job in an office where you're literally waiting to leave at 5 o'clock. And that type of system is really terrible. And I constantly think about getting back into being employed by someone else. But like, man, working 9 to 5 is really difficult. So I'm looking for, remote jobs, but they're all just design jobs. It's all just the same. It's just like maintaining your calendar, making sure you do the things you want to do, get your work done so you have the free time to go do what you need to do. Which becomes play rugby, have a band, run a radio station, all these other things which don't add any money into my pocket, just take it away. But it's the lifestyle, it's what I want to do.
Yeah. I want to talk about rugby and the radio show at some point, but I want to quickly ask, based on your entrepreneurial endeavors, like what's some lessons that you've learned or like advice you'd give to someone that's trying to make money independently of some other organization?
I'm terrible at it. So I'm the worst business person there is. I'm barely hanging on financially, but my bills get paid. My wife works full time. Our bills get paid. She used to work with me at the print shop, and when COVID hit, that gave us the ability to not work together any longer and for her to go get a job with benefits, which is awesome. Otherwise, it's really just about like do everything as fast as you can. The second you say, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow," then the pileup starts, right? The traffic starts. And if you just do everything immediately as quick as you can, then that's the best way to have your income continually flow,
Yeah, while you have the motivation.
Yeah. Or maybe you don't have the motivation, but it's there right now, so just do it. Don't be like, maybe tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll feel more creative tomorrow. No, you won't.
No.
Like, you have to do all the hard work, put yourself in that mindset and get it taken care of quickly. Because then the next job that comes in, I'll sit there, I'll have 20 jobs I need to do this week. If I worked on all of them in the first 2 days, I would have the rest of the week to take in more new jobs correctly, as opposed to being like, yeah, no problem, I'll get to that next week. And so those types of scheduling conflicts is something that I run into often, because it's like, I'm going to go camping for the next 3 days. And then I can't do it tonight because I got rugby, and I can't do it tomorrow because I got band practice, and I can't do it the next day because we got a radio meeting. And I have plenty of valid reasons to always not get stuff done. It's like, no, man, you got to just spend that time, all the time you have, getting it done. So then with your free time, you can spend it with your family, your friends, and the people in your life that you need to give your time to, because you can't give them anything else, right? You can't just give them some money or like buy them something. It doesn't cover it. You have to give them time.
Yeah. So
that's been the biggest change in my life, with my parents getting older and my wife and I not working together. It's like, our time is different now. So you have to work harder to spend that time with those people, because that's the most important thing that you have to use is your time. So find some rich person, get them to pay you money. Spend your time doing whatever it is you can to maintain that, and then maintain your relationships. That's what I know.
I appreciate it. And that's honestly something I really appreciate about you, is like you have like you're not afraid to like dabble into a bunch of different things. You have a lot on your plate at all times, and I don't know, I like to try different things, and just I have a lot going on myself, and I was gonna ask you, do you ever feel like overwhelmed that, or do you ever feel overwhelmed that you have too much going on, or do you like find the like your true joy comes from like staying like active and busy and like keeping your mind
I'm a person of great depression. So I feel that if I'm not constantly doing whatever it is I want to be doing, then I'm super depressed. And so I have to keep my schedule full. Whether it's, I got to go see my parents for 2 hours, going to go home, cook dinner for my wife, going to go walk the dog after that, going to work on projects for 2 hours after that, every hour has to be filled with something. Otherwise I'm just smoking weed and staring at the wall, know? And once you just start getting into those cycles, you just lose all that momentum, and things aren't fun anymore, and life's not interesting anymore, and then just like depression.
Do you think it's like a purpose meaning thing? I mean, that's like, I feel like that's like the quality of someone's life is going to be dependent on like if they have like fulfilling meaning. And do you think you're always just trying to like find things that give you that purpose and meaning?
I suppose, because I do believe that everyone's anxiety and depression these days just stems from life being too easy. Convenience brings death is a hat you might have seen me wear at practice. And I just believe that life being easier gives people less of a reason to be alive. Because back in the day, you had to constantly fight for survival. And the second you don't have to work to feed yourself or bring clean water to yourself or think about what you have to do because it's all just kind of taken care of, then you're just depressed because you have no purpose in life. There's nothing keeping you alive, nothing motivating you to get out of bed to do something. So life is so convenient that I have so much free time, that I have to fill it with stuff. And I don't think of it as a purpose. This is my purpose in life per se. But yeah, I 100% think that like without this stuff, there is no purpose to be alive. And then it is all depression. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have kids. I don't have other things that give me purpose. I have to find that purpose for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay. One way, maybe the rugby or the band and K-foot, those are your kids.
Exactly. The community is my children.
Exactly.
So, and when you do think of things that way, then you do want to do positive stuff and not negative stuff to your community, right? Yeah. You want to help nurture and provide the best way you can, which to me is through fun and entertainment generally. I'm the fun uncle, for the whole community. And it does. I get so upset at people and teenagers all suck. Well, I was the worst teenager there was, and they're such dicks and they're so depressed and so mad and just like, man, if at some point it's because school sucks. And if you were just working, people were getting married at 14 100 years ago and working in coal mines at age 6 and stuff like that. Like, not that that's good stuff, but like, man, you were living life. You were a part of your community and society at a much earlier age. And now you live in your basement till you're 36.
Yeah.
And no one cares. And you're just alive, so you gotta fight. Yeah, you gotta fight against that because that's life. You could live a long life and have zero impact on anything around you. And maybe it's because your online game life is keeping you sustained, but you could just talk to those people in real life too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. It is tough for people to find that purpose or meaning and I don't know. I just really appreciate like the things that you do for this community, like playing rugby 2 days, like on Tuesdays is something I like really look forward to, and I'm bummed the days I don't have time to make it. But it's like, I don't know, a big positive thing in my life, and I think that could be said for everyone that goes.
Well, that's why they show up, right? Because it's fun. Because you get to do what you aren't doing all day long. And that's kind of all my activities that aren't my 9 to 5 are the parts that are missing out of my life, right? And so Kevin and I started the rugby team. And it was
you and Kevin?
Yeah. And it's just because we were fat. And it was just because we both moved back to town and we were both just drinking beer. And it's like, well, maybe we should go jogging before we drink beer. So, okay, yeah, sure. And Kevin had a rugby ball. So I was like, okay. And we both played at Long Beach together in college.
Wait, you and Kevin?
Yeah, just by chance. He went to high school here too.
Oh.
And we both moved separately to Long Beach. We both joined the rugby team separately.
Oh, wow.
We both was like, hey, I know you from back home, right? He's like, yeah. Okay, cool. So we did that. He moved down to San Diego after that. I moved to Colorado for a year. We both eventually kind of moved back into town. We were both hanging out at our friend Matt Allison's house because he had the most couches. And he was actually his roommate for a while. And from there I was like, hey, let's start exercising. Let's start doing stuff. And it was, all right, Tuesdays, let's go jogging on Tuesdays. And that was like 10 years ago. I mean, just every Tuesday, like, gotta do it.
Wow.
There's no sense in not doing it. It's Tuesday.
Yeah. I was actually gonna ask you why'd you pick Tuesday?
It was just the easiest day to do it, man. Yeah. Wednesday is band practice day, so it couldn't be Wednesday. Okay. So it's Tuesday.
Well, it's a good day for me.
Mm-hmm.
What? So when? How many years did you? How many years ago did you start it?
About 10 years ago.
10 years ago, and
Yeah.
how has it evolved over time?
Well, for the first 2 years, it was just Kevin and I. And then Sean, he may have seen Sean. He kind of comes and goes because he's trying to be a doctor. So then Sean saw us, and Sean used to play rugby, and his dad started the Harlots team down in the valley. So when those Harlots guys come up, that's because, well, it's just because they want to play rugby. But it just so happens that the founder's son is on our team.
Oh.
And then this woman who was watching her kids' soccer practice came over and said, "What are you guys doing?" Because we were just jogging around the field. All these kids are playing soccer, and here we are, three young scruffy men, just passing this weird shaped ball. And her name was Erin. She said, "Are you playing rugby? Like, what is this?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "How many kids you guys have? Like, come on out." She had like 5 kids. And so she was part of Vookie's church. And she just started bringing out all these Mormons. Tons of Mormons know about rugby, or like Vookie's an Islander. All Islanders know of rugby, And so then the group, got to 10 people all of a sudden. There was 10 people, kids, and everyone just running around having fun. Everyone would bring their wives and stuff. Our wives don't come anymore, They're doing whatever they want to do on Tuesdays. And Kevin's part of the fire program, so the new firefighters would all come, and you'd get 15 firefighters show up one day to do PT with you, and then the fire season starts, and then they all disappear. So it just ebbs and flows, but I'm just going to do it every single Tuesday until I lose my leg or something, there's no reason not to. There's absolutely zero reason. And that's been established in my wife and I's relationship and life for so long. Yeah. It's just undeniable at this time. It's like, oh, well, sorry, it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday,
She's okay. It's cool. As long as I make her dinner and spend other time with her, and, then it works. But if that's the thing I need to work on the most, is more positive time with my wife. Less just being partners in the same home together. Right? So that's my next thing to conquer right now.
That's awesome.
Besides financial greatness, like those two.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I want to also talk about K-Foot. Just like when, like, K-Foot's a radio station that you're advertising. It's well established now, but I want to talk about like the genesis of it and like the idea and how it's come to be what it is.
Well, there's 2 local radio stations now, or 2 community radio stations now. So the first one was KAAD, and it's just a downtown station started by educators. They filed for a permit, and they wanted to do they were like theater people, so they wanted to do shows, like old time radio shows. That was their whole thing that they wanted to do. And so they started this low power radio station with a 7-mile broadcast radius, which is very small. That started about 10 years ago. Everyone who's a part of KFUT was a part of KAAD at one point. And so me and Joel, we used to have a Friday local music show where we would play bands, or play music from all the bands that are going to play this weekend. So, these guys are playing here, these guys are playing here, these guys are playing here, here are their songs, right? And generally, it was just him and I getting super stoned in the basement of my print shop in downtown. And we'd have all the tracks ready to go, and we'd just go crazy for an hour. And then we would spend the next hour editing it down together. And then we'd go up it's at the Casino Dome. We'd go up to the Dome and plug it in. Right before, it had to start at 7 o'clock. So that DJ would leave and we'd plug in our show. We did that for a couple of years. And that station was really boring. It was not fun to listen to all day long. And no one ever listened to our show, as far as we know. We tell all the bands and tell your friends, blah, blah, blah. And whatever. Eventually, KAD filed for a full power radio station permit. 5 years ago, we'll say. Kind of prime COVID time. They got it. They thought the world was going to end. They said there's no reason to continue working on this radio station. It's just too hard. We all might die from COVID.
Yeah.
So that was, as far as I know, that was their belief system. So they just put it away. And then if you don't broadcast in 5 years, you just lose that license. So they earned the license. They paid for the license. They had the license. And at year 4, this guy, David Simmerly, he called us up and he's like, hey, man, we're going to just lose the ability to have a full power radio station unless you guys do something. And at this time, we had all quit the radio because it's all just been too boring too. We're like, oh, whatever. It doesn't matter. So David convinced us to do it. We had to fire up a nonprofit, which was the Greater Good, which was our art group, which is called the Greater Good. So we made that an official nonprofit, thanks to Richard. Richard being our technical guy, the person who married me and my wife, and he's our broadcast engineer. And so he's the smart one. So he got everything filed, got everything made. Then we had to raise $10,000 in order to get the equipment to put on a tower and start paying for tower rent. And it was just this whole race for the end of that year. We were able to meet it before the November deadline and broadcast. And here we are 8 months later, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a big year-long advertising push to start building stuff. And the whole time we had already amassed a giant library of local music over 10 years of going to shows. We all had different bands and different projects. And so we had thousands and thousands of tracks. So that was the basis of our KFUT, our radio station, was local music all the time. Jim Thompson, who produced a lot of content for KAAD and is the bassist in Joel and I's band, Wet Meadow, he had like 5 shows to bring over. The Funky Groovy Chill Show, which is filled with the most eclectic, weird jazz stuff you could find. 678 Pop Show, which is like all of the one-hit wonders from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And Country Gold Classic Show, which we don't play, but it was all the most depressing country songs that you could listen to. And then his breaks between it would just be about depression and mental illness, which was a real interesting thing to come on at like 11 o'clock in the afternoon. And just like, oh, and when you're sad, it's okay to be sad. And here's another sad song to listen to. And so we don't play that one. We might bring it back. And then he has Heavy in the Hills. He does a 4-hour heavy metal show every Tuesday live from his house. And then something that's really fun is Eclectic Dreams Overnight, which is just an insane sound collage. Well, he'll just like open up a bunch of YouTube windows of different sounds and songs and movie tracks and just like start recording them all as different layers and turning them on and off. And like, he'll do additional editing. We make just a bunch of really weird sound collages, and really weird stuff is my favorite stuff.
Yeah.
So today it's basically like those 5 programs and then just like all local music in between. And it's like nicer stuff during the day and angrier stuff at night. But the goal of it is just to my goal for it is to create a historical database of all recorded music from our region and to give everyone who wants to put the hard effort into recording music an ability for it to be heard. Because why not? Popular music sucks. I've heard it. I've already heard it. So here's a bunch of music you've never heard, and they're playing tomorrow. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I like your idea of collecting all the local music and keeping it as an archive for anyone else in the future. And what I honestly don't know much about this like Tuolumne County music scene, and I don't know if you want to talk about like your band growing up, like how you got into music, and like were there any local artists that like influenced you or like going to shows, or I don't know if you want to talk about the music scene here.
Yeah, well, growing up and still today, a lot of it's kind of just like bluegrass, old timey, Real comfortable, family-friendly music.
Okay, was there a lot of that growing up, or would you have to go like to the valley?
It was all here. Strawberry Music Festival started up here, and they'd bring like Grateful Dead and peripheral artists like that up here.
Grateful Dead?
Yeah, Grateful Dead played up here in the 80s.
Oh, shit.
And they had
That's
a
cool.
secret hideaway somewhere. That's now a rave site and stuff like that. So
cool.
that like bluegrass and old timey music, and it being a historical area, like it all has been here for a long, long time. So my parents were music fans. So growing up, they'd take us to all these family friendly, bluegrassy, old timey music events. And I hated it.
Really?
Because it was so lame and it was just a bunch of old people, and I just didn't care because I was into Marilyn Manson. I was into people who were pissed off, and none of these people are pissed off.
Right.
So I was really, really bored by that. And so my music taste, being, a teenager, had to be the exact opposite of what my parents' music taste was.
Yeah.
So I went to all that hardcore stuff. And so there's always been a very strong group of those musicians here since at least the 80s, probably the 70s. Mountain Air Music Festival was in Angels Camp, and they would bring up artists. It was a Bill Graham Presents thing. So Santana played up there, and ZZ Top, and Cars, and like all these bands through the 80s and 90s. Ween and Les Claypool played there in the 2000s. And then it kind of shut down. And then Iron Sun Vineyards would bring up all the classic rock guys, and today it's Sublime and all that stuff. So like music has always been around, and it was always something we went to. But that's all that ever was around, it felt, was that type of music. There wasn't a lot of bars that had bands.
Yeah.
If they were, it'd just be some cover band. And granted, I was a kid, so I couldn't go to it anyways. There was a warehouse over by where Bolton Hay and Feud is.
Oh, yeah.
Called the Borderline Warehouse. And in the 90s, a lot of ska and punk shows would get brought up there. Cool. So that was the first taste of that kids had. Like while Nirvana was big and that stuff was still big, or new, and he wasn't dead yet, there was this scene, and it was a punk scene. And so that became a big thing. And a lot of my friends became into punk at that point in the 90s. And so I grew up alongside all these kids who were super into punk stuff. So high school, there was a couple of bands, but they all sounded like, Korn or Limp Bizkit or any of that stuff that was big. Or Hatebreed, there's the hardcore movement. And then the emo, screamo movement kind of came. And I was really against that because those kids just pissed me off. Again, I was filled with anger, though. So I was never in a high school. I was in the marching band in high school. I played an instrument, the saxophone, from 4th grade through high school. Mm-hmm. And it was just kind of something I had to do. There's always guitars in my house. There's always instruments sitting around. We had an electric guitar that I'd just kind of play on. But I never really learned how to play it. And I still barely know how to play the guitar. Yeah, it's just no joke.
How can you say that in a band?
I mean, because our band, Wet Meadow, is more about putting on an unforgettable and undeniable performance. About emoting and giving the crowd something that they just don't get from every other musical show you're going to see. So we like to transform the room. We like projectors and fog and costumes, and just the most intense noise you can fathom comes out of us.
Yeah, I need to check it out.
Yeah, we'll have earplugs there for you. Don't bring your wife; she won't like it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you could bring her, but you go in downtown, and it's easy in downtown because at least you go walk away. If you go somewhere else, it's harder to leave. So we just work on bringing a presence and a sound that our community doesn't have unless we bring it. So it's all very simple music. It's not technically intense, but it is sonically intense.
Yeah, I'd like to check it out. But so like when did you start like playing the guitar? Like
the first band I was in, let's see, it's my birthday. my new house after I got married. So it was like 13 years ago. My friends wanted to start a band. Like, oh, Zach, be in a band. I'm like, I don't got time to be in a band. I got stuff I'm doing. So they started a band and they practiced and at my friend Matt's house where we partied all the time. And all my other friends were in bands, and we'd go to all these other shows, and we'd go to the Valley and see metal shows and stuff like that. And um, they practiced on Wednesdays, and so eventually they're like, Zach, you should just come. Like, I think so and so's not going to be here much longer. You should just come. And so I just come and drink beer and hang out. And they said, well, bring your guitar too. And so okay, then I brought my guitar too, and then I just play the songs with them. And we were in that band that was called Lords of the Southern Mines. We were in that band for 4 or 5 years or something like that, playing the Gypsy Shack, which was a sweet music venue in Jamestown. So we just like drink a bunch of beer and load up the gear over at this end of the street and then just drive like 5 blocks over to the other place and unload and just like go crazy. And the bassist, Jim, and I, we were into a lot of just like super doomy, noisy stuff. So if the rest of the band couldn't show up, we just like show up and just play like heavy chords for like an hour without anything else, like here's a bunch of weird talking on this recording device and here's just some crazy fuzz, and so then eventually people got DUIs, people got pregnant, that band had to stop, but Wednesday I wasn't going to stop. So Joel, who was newly out of his band, broke up at that time too. People moved away. So his band broke up. My drummer was brothers with his drummer. We practiced at the same house. And then that drummer moved out. My drummer got pregnant. So we new things had to happen. That house was no longer there for us to really party at. And so Joel and I just started doing a 2-piece stuff. I played bass and he played drums. And then Jim was like, what do you mean? You guys are still practicing? I want to come play. And so then Jim came and I switched back to guitar and we just started doing shows as Wet Meadow.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, how you doing? I need to hit the bathroom.
Maybe take a break. Right. Yeah.
We're live. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Sorry about the intermission, but we're back. Yeah, we're talking about your band. See, I wanted to, like, we talked about, like some, like, I don't know, like moving back here after college and just like sort of your interest in like what you've been like gravitated to like after, like as an adult. Mm-hmm. I want to like, I'm curious, like your perspective of growing up here and just like what it was like. Because, I don't know, I'm relatively new to the area, but in my opinion, based on where I've lived and throughout my life, I think, like, as far as, like, this is, like, one of the most beautiful places in the world. I don't say that lightly. Mm-hmm. And I think it has so much to offer for so many people at like whatever stage they are in their life. And I'm just curious, like what it was like growing up here and sort of your experience of that.
It was being my only, I've lived here almost my entire life. Growing up here, I was very bored. It's fairly rural. You have a neighborhood over here, but I grew up in a place where, sure, there's a neighborhood, but there's no sidewalks, there's no streetlights.
Yeah.
You didn't really walk around to hang out with kids because they lived about a half mile away. It wasn't really safe. There's too many hills to like ride bikes. Skateboarding was terrible because the asphalt was all pitted. So like a lot of my childhood just grew up around school activities, sports. I was in sports year round. All of us kids were always all the full recreation, like everything we could do to keep us busy is what our parents did. So, I was, as a teenager, you're just bored. You want more. You want something else. And it's just not available. There is no all ages club to go to. There used to be a movie theater. There's no longer a movie theater. Walmart was brand new back then, so you'd go hang out at Walmart because it was like a place you can go, and be without your parents for 2 hours, and you just go screw around at Walmart. The intense natural beauty wasn't a factor because that was all just stuff you saw every day. So we grew up hiking and backpacking and camping and doing all that stuff constantly, to the point where we're just like, yeah, whatever. It's just the trees over there.
Yeah.
In saying about how boring it is, it's also very safe. It's very culturally narrow. There's not a lot of diversity. There's twice as much diversity today. Maybe 200 times as much diversity today as there was growing up here in the 80s and 90s. Just a ton of boring white people doing boring white people stuff all the time. But it's safe because, it was just a community where everyone knew everyone. So you don't realize how easy it was and how safe it was and how friendly everyone was, because it was just boring. If I were to raise a family, I'd much rather raise a family here than somewhere else, it'd be much easier. Maybe it's harder to find a job that pays what you want or whatever, but cost of living is slightly less than in a larger town, at least. And the schools, I grew up in public schools and they all seemed fine.
Yeah.
We have less occurrences of super terrible issues that you read about in the news and stuff. And school shootings are fairly non-existent, but you get the scares. But, growing up here, most kids had rifles in their trucks and stuff like that because it's my dad's truck and there's always a rifle, and stuff like, all that kind of hillbilly type stuff. But it was a safe hillbilly type stuff. So, growing up here was fine. As an adult, every time we think about going on a vacation somewhere, it's just like, well, we could just go up the pass and it'll be 20 degrees cooler and we could just go hang out by a river.
Right.
It was like, or you could go spend $1,000 being in a hotel by the beach.
Right.
So those types of decisions are a lot easier for us. It's like, well, yeah, we're just going to go to our favorite spot and chill out for the weekend. And trying to make more time to do more of that is always a thing. We go on one backpacking trip a year. I would love to go on 5 backpacking trips a year, but it's hard to make that time because I filled it up with other stuff.
Yeah, you got a lot going.
Yeah. Weekends become real difficult to navigate. Having a calendar is very important. But, the area, its faults all rely in its uncreativity and in its lack of diversity and its lack of, I think a lot of people up here are hermits and people who want to get away from other people, and that's part of the draw to living here. But in that being the facts, then the communities aren't as tight as they could be because people don't want to talk to you. Because I moved up here to be away from the crowds, you know. It's like, well, you still should participate in your community. You should still maybe go to some of these events and see who all these people are around you and get to know the world that you live in. Because some, 75-year-old shut-in who just watches Fox News isn't really that different than the 15-year-old who dresses like a cat and just is online all day and all night. Like, neither of those people have given their actual community a real shot. And I think that's kind of the way of the world is going more towards that with the online lifestyles. But definitely, if you give your community a chance, it's all there. And I think this community has every facet of person available. It's just whether or not you guys choose to find the time to meet,
Yeah.
So I always think that's really interesting because our county only has maybe 80,000 people for the entire county.
Right.
You drive an hour, you hit a town with 80,000 people in it. And a county has 1 million people in it, or what, so that's just really interesting. And 75% of this county is national forest land.
Really? 70%?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's just everything up the hill. It's all Stanislaus National Forest. Yeah. So our ground space isn't even getting taken up with people.
Right.
Like, it's very spread out and very quiet in that sense. And, when Trump wanted to sell off federal lands, that's talking about 75% of this county.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that could all just happen in one single business deal because it's all owned by one entity, the federal government.
Yeah.
So that type of stuff is really scary and really concerning for me, especially in a community where there isn't a super strong community.
Yeah.
Because everyone's mindsets are different and no one really understands what they have and what's available to lose in this region.
Yeah.
Which is all that natural beauty that is all publicly accessible today. But it might not be next year. Or whenever. Down the road it won't be. It'll all disappear. But yeah, so I think the region, the community has tons to offer.
Yeah.
If you try super duper hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a year or so to hear about the bark beetles. So
that's even only a year though.
Yeah.
People lived in this community for 20 years and never heard of us, Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask about like growing up in the small town, and is it like really like you go to the store and you see like 5 people, and like what is that like? Especially like just like because growing up could be so challenging when you don't know who you are, and just like there's just like so many like internal doubts and like insecurities and just like running in. I imagine for me it'd be tough to sort of navigate that and just know that you could be seen by anyone at any time.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible as an adult person who wants to just go grocery shopping.
It still sucks, you think? As an adult?
Yeah, it's worse as an adult than as a child. As a child, or someone who might be walking around the grocery store and needs some help finding something or doesn't really know what you're doing, and you might see 20 neighbors be like, "Oh, what you doing, huh? Oh, I don't know if you want that. You might want this." Okay. You could be helped in a grocery store by your community members, but as like a 40-year-old dude who's like super high, just trying to grab a couple items from the grocery store, and no, I don't want to talk to you about your terrible shirt idea, and no, I don't want to talk to you about what you should be paying me for during business times. That's how I feel a lot of times when I'm at the grocery store. It's just like, because I know a lot of people. I've lived here a long time, and it becomes difficult if you just want to take care of a couple of things and not deal with the public. At the same time, I don't agree with online shopping, and yeah, you should get your ass into the store, and you should have to rub elbows with these people. But Walmart's open 24/7, so if you don't want to see people, just go in there at 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
And it's terrible either way, for a different set of reasons.
Yeah.
But I don't go to my high school reunions. I'll never go. I don't need to see those people.
Yeah.
I see those people every day.
Yeah.
They live here. I live here.
So is that pretty common? Like, like a lot of your friend circle and just people, acquaintances that you knew from high school, a lot of them you see around town?
Yeah. Yeah. They're owning and operating the businesses I use. They're working in the grocery store or working at the tire shop. And yeah, I just grew up with all those people.
Yeah.
Maybe you forget that you know them, but then you see their name or something. I was like, oh, we had math together, didn't we? And then that's a whole nother terrible thing where you're like, oh, sorry, I can't even
don't remember
pick you out of a crowd,
Yeah.
or I don't know who you are. But yeah, I guess we did go to school for 4 years together.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, okay. I'm curious now, like about like so your upbringing was here, and then you decided to go. You went to Long Beach State.
Yeah.
How did you decide to go to college there of all places, and then what was that like? First time being away from home in a completely different environment in Long Beach State, and what what was that experience like?
I chose Long Beach State because I wanted to. They had a graphic design program, and I wanted to move to a big city from the country. And my parents went to San Diego, so I wasn't going to go there.
Yeah.
And my aunt lived in LA, so I wasn't going to go there. So I just kind of like left Long Beach. And they had a good graphic design program. Snoop Dogg was big, Sublime was big.
Yeah.
Just like
that's cool.
Yeah, Dr. Dre the Chronic. Let's go to Long Beach, you know. And me, I went alone. Little did I know, I did have a high school friend that moved at the same time as me, not Kevin, but another person. And so we ended up becoming really close friends and each other's support group. No, this guy Joey.
Okay.
He lives in Australia now.
Oh, nice.
So it just so happened that a guy I kind of knew.
Yeah.
And went down together, and I got a DUI 2 weeks before going to college. Driving around being a drunk ass high schooler here. So I went down without a car. I went down on probation.
Oh, damn.
I went down with a $10,000 fine under my belt. I went down with my parents being super pissed off at me. Like,
oh, that's tough.
It was a real difficult space. Lots of arguments, lots of issues.
Yeah.
So going down there, it was nice to be away from my parents, even though they had to help me out financially, totally, you know. Which I'm so lucky to be able to have that, you know. I have very little student debt because I did pretty good in high school besides being an idiot. I was in a lot of AP classes, so a lot of my undergrad stuff was just like kind of taken care of already in high school. But ultimately, in moving down there, I found out how much I don't really like to be around people, and how being around 100,000 people every single day was just like, oh no, this is terrible. And all these people are idiots. And I don't want to talk to any of them. And I wasn't a positive person. And I wasn't an outgoing person. And I didn't utilize, I would say, my time away from home living in Long Beach. I didn't go to as many rock and roll shows as I should have. I went to some by myself, you know. But if you're into fringe stuff, then now your friend doesn't want to go to that show. It's terrible. Like, you know, so I did a ton of stuff by myself. And eventually I just like, oh, I'm out of here. I hate this place. I don't want to live around people. And I moved to Telluride Ski Resort from there to go work there for a season, thinking, well, that's where I want. So I went one extreme, total people, and then one extreme, total alpine. Yeah. And then everyone over there was just too into granola and too into being super fit and hiking mountains and everything, like too extreme in that regard. And it was like, well, all I want to do is watch a movie, and there's no movie theater in this town. I have to drive 2 hours to go watch a movie, you know? So then I was like, okay, I'm not going to live here either. And I just like moved back home, you know, and just got to work. And then didn't look for another solution. I just worked. Just drank a lot and worked. And that was, 2007. It was a long time ago.
So what was it like coming back home after integrating into Long Beach and then small ski town in Colorado, and then what was that transition like going back home?
A lot of there's a big group of people I knew all partying at Matt's house in Jamestown. So when I came home, there was a lot of people who were still here, who hadn't changed since high school. There's a lot of people who OD'd, a lot of people who became homeless or just like drug addicts or whatever. A lot of kind of hard living from my friend circle and the people who were still here. And so there was this net of people, but it wasn't a creative atmosphere. It was drinking and partying.
Hmm.
And so it was cool coming back. And as long as I was motivated to do something, I could make a better life, you know. But if I didn't have that motivation, I'd probably not be alive today. I don't think I would have bothered moving somewhere else. My wife and I talk about stuff like that, but it's just like the network is here. The community we've built and all the stuff we have in life is here.
Mm.
And if I just move to some other town, you're just alone again. I might offer you something, but like we have a ton of community connections and family and friends here. And without that, it just seems like it'd be harder to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is your wife from Tuolumne County as well?
Yeah.
How would I don't know. You want to talk about? I don't know. I know nothing about your wife. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, so my wife is 2 years older than me. She loves it when I talk about how old she is. And my brother's 2 years older than me.
Hmm.
So my brother and my wife were in the same grade in high school.
Hmm.
My wife's brother is in the same grade I was in high school, 2 years younger.
Okay.
I met him because he tried to date my little sister in high school, who was 1 grade younger than us. So I knew, I knew this guy Nick, and I was like, whatever, dude. He's a super nice guy, so I was like, he's harmless. I never knew he had a sister. And I never met my current wife in high school. I never knew her. So one day I was back. I was hanging out with her brother, and we were both December babies, so we see each other for our birthdays and stuff like that. And he'd invite me over to do stuff and hang out. And eventually one day I met his sister on one of his birthdays, you know. And I was blogging a lot at the time. Being a self-employed artist, I had a WordPress page that I was posting on daily. And every single day I had a theme I had to post about. And one of those was an artist survey. So I created a series of questions that I present to every artist that I met and ask them for 3 to 5 images of their work and like fill out this 12-question survey, you know. She was one of the people that I gave that to. She went to design marketing school in San Diego or something and moved back right around the same time that I moved back. So it just happened that we met, and I was a extremely attractive artist, you know, that was into binge drinking malt liquor. Yeah, exactly. And somehow she saw the goodness in me, and we started hanging out, and and then we got married like 3 years later.
That's great. What is she into? What sort of interests do you share? Is she like into?
We've had a apparel company together.
Nice.
We'll come up with t-shirt designs and print them and sell them at events and festivals and stuff. Out of a vintage trailer that her and my dad rebuilt during COVID. So we do that, and she likes camping and stuff. So we have a family campsite that she goes, that's on her side of the family that we go to monthly at least. We do gardening at home. Different aspects of gardening. I really kind of fought her gardening early on because gardening was a punishment to me growing up. But now we both garden kind of together in different manners.
Nice.
You know, so it's home ownership and going to shows. She doesn't bother coming to our concerts anymore. She's seen enough of it. But we'll go to other concerts together and hanging out, having fun, you know, trying to see new things. Appreciate nature. Most of our trips are just about like getting out to the desert or getting out to the ocean and just long hangouts in nature, you know, and she'll watercolor and draw stuff and try to get me to draw stuff like I used to. But I just do it far less. I usually just pet the dogs and smoke a J or something. So we raised 2 dogs and a cat together. Nice. That's a big part of our life together.
Nice.
Yeah.
What I don't know what else can you I don't know what are your I'm curious about your siblings. What are they?
My siblings?
What are they, like?
My older brother was him and I were always competing against each other pretty much in high school, or at least mentally. And so we were all three raised to be athletes and musicians and all that. So we were in sports together, but I choose all the sports he didn't play. So he did baseball, basketball, football. I did soccer and wrestling, and we all did swimming. We were all part of the swim team since like 6th grade. And we were all skiers and snowboarders, and we all worked up at Dodge as instructors.
Oh, cool.
As our first jobs. They were lifeguards. I chose to never be a lifeguard because of them. I was a real counter little bastard. And so they let my sister's like a homestead farmer person out in Colorado right now, living just a super intense life of like raising and slaughtering her own food, and has 2 little awesome kids who are just super crazy and super cool, super smart. And my brother, he lives up here in Twainhart, and he's a power plant dam operator and works long, hard hours. And his wife is a nurse, and those guys just work super hard all the time. And then he has always pushed himself to be a crazy physical athlete. He'll go hike 6 miles and ski and snowboard and ride a bike 100 miles and stuff that I don't do. He pushes himself physically super hard.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I also want to ask, like, what you're optimistic about in Tuolumne County, or what are you looking forward to going forward?
What am I optimistic about? The biggest project I have on my plate is the radio station, and making that into a household name. So taking something that is absolutely nothing and trying my hardest along with my friends and colleagues to create something that everyone's heard of and everyone thinks is super cool is my biggest goal with that radio station. And taking something that's such a vacation-centric area for people, a lot of second homes and cabins and stuff. And so something that every time those people come up here on vacation, they're excited to turn on KFUT and listen to local music and what's happening in our community. Something that they're stoked to have the t-shirt and have the magnet and have the sticker and just be excited and feel connected to. And so that's what my big community service project is. We're all volunteers in it, and we give our time, and every ounce of time I give to it is because I want it to be a stronger, better service to the community. I concentrate heavily on local music, but there is a lot of other facets of news and entertainment that should be brought to it to really help inform the community. So as hard as I work on one aspect of it, bringing local music to it, there's just this whole other half of it that I need to dedicate way, way, way more time to. So that's kind of my main thing I'm looking straight down the barrel of right now is how to make that happen, how to get more people engaged in it, how to help it grow organically, and just have people, our community, be super excited by it. That's the goal.
Yeah. That's awesome. What else? Okay, I asked about Tuolumne County, but what about just in general life stuff? Is there anything you're looking forward to out on the horizon?
Not really. I have a real problem with future planning and things like that. So I don't want to stress you out. Well, I'm looking forward to maybe someday having saved enough money that I could retire, which I don't really think is in the cards for me because I'm not good at that. And so everything else is future planning, understanding my parents' mortality and the situation of getting older, right? So if I'm 41 or 2, or I'm 42 probably, that's a good halfway point, right? Like that's a good halfway point. So understanding what is going to happen as a non-parent Like, once I get to a certain age, I don't have any kids to look after me.
Mm.
I don't have any system. I don't believe that our government system is going to treat the elderly better in 40 years.
Mm.
I don't believe I'm going to be able to afford whatever that better treatment is. So a lot of what I got to really start thinking about is that type of personal, like, what's going to happen in 40 years and what can you do over the next 20 years so that you don't have to be doing it for 40 years. So I have a lot of that stuff rattling around in my mind. I don't really know how to address it yet, but that's kind of the big future stuff, is understanding just mortality and hoping that you've built a community that will support you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's pretty deep.
I mean, that's what you asked, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm looking at my list here,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we touched on everything I wanted to ask you about.
And how did you generate this list?
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. I don't know. I just throughout the week, I'd like driving or something. I mean, I want to ask that, and then I write it down. No, I'm driving, but yeah, and then sort of just see how you answer some questions, and then ask follow up or find, I don't know, stuff I wanted to bring up. But yeah, that's pretty much my process.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I just want to say thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it, and yeah, I think you're a real positive force for this community, and I really appreciate all that you do for it. And yeah, I'm a benefit of it. My wife is, when we listen to K-Foot, and yeah, we appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll log off, but yeah, thanks, Zach.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon.